So after this, it's gonna cut to you.
You want to put the intro?
Yeah, it'll cut to the intro. Seconds on there.
Time move here, Gary.
Talk about elevating and linker. Jermaine Griffin says, well, if Kobe can't do it, maybe it's my turn to take over. I'm the second leading scorer on this team.
Yo, what's going on? Good morning, good afternoon. This is Mel from Queen Sports Talk Radio, and you are tuned in. The station is WGJS Radio. What's going on? Call us. If you want to call in on any topic, if you want to debate, call in 347-410-8077, 347-410-8077. We ain't playing no games today, man. We're going to get into the highlights from last night. We're going to talk about what we think is going to happen between Golden State and Dallas tonight. I already got Golden State closing that series out. Before the series started, I picked Golden State to finish it in 5 games. If they don't close it out tonight, then they playing with fire, because you never want to give a team extra life if you don't have to. You know, if you have an opportunity to close a team out, you do it. You go for it. You knock them out. You just finish them. You don't give them no hope, because you mess around and you lose game 5 and you suffer an injury, and next thing you know, the series is extended and it could possibly go 7 games. Anything could happen. We've seen it done for years. So, I expect Golden State to close this out today. Last night, we had the Celtics versus Miami Heat, and we're going to get into that. Also, 2 topics I'm going to jump on today. The number 1 topic is Brooklyn needs to stop playing and pay Kyrie his money. I'm not a Nets fan, right? I'm not like one of the super fans. I'm not even saying like I'm a big Kyrie fan, right? I respect what Kyrie brings to the table. I respect his game, but I feel like right is right, and I feel like wrong is wrong. And we're going to get into why Kyrie Irving deserves to get paid his money, and the Brooklyn Nets need to stop playing. People need to stop following these Stephen A., Skip Bayless, all these people with these narratives that don't like Kyrie because of the decision that he made, and they're trying to blame him for stuff and put stigmas on it that's not true. And we're going to get into that in a second. But let me just, before we get into that, another thing I'm going to talk about it just briefly is I'm tired of talking about Colin Kaepernick and the NFL and all of this stuff. For me, once Colin Kaepernick, pretty much took the lawsuit money. I was pretty much done with that whole situation. You know, I supported him for a minute, but once he got the money and took the money and just, you really didn't hear from him for a long time, never addressed like what was going on and stuff. I just left it alone. If he become a quarterback, he becomes a quarterback. That's just that. I think we should just let that die off, and we need to forget about that. You know what I mean? That's a whole situation. It's been years now. I feel like Colin Kaepernick had his the pressure on the NFL, and I felt like, you know what I mean, it was top of the morning. Yo, good looking, Jared. I appreciate it. But I feel like Colin Kaepernick had pressure on the NFL. The NFL was trying to get his allegations thrown out, but the collective bargaining and how they work, well, not collective bargaining, but with the NFL, you have to sit with arbitrators and, they let you know if you have a case or not. And they went forward with the case. They felt like Colin Kaepernick had enough evidence where you don't dismiss it. So I felt like when he took the money, he kind of let the NFL off the hook. And I felt like the purpose of what should have been done never got accomplished. That's just me personally. Like I said, I was supporting him. But once he got the money and kind of just went like MIA for a little bit, didn't explain, the goals or what took place, I just kind of left it at that. So to me, it's not a story anymore. Let's just leave that alone. Let's try to not make that a story. The biggest story is going to be today is going to be Kyrie Irving need to get his money. That's what we're going to be talking about. So real quick, before we get into that, let's talk about last night, the Boston Celtics and the Miami Heat, all right? I expect this to be a close series. I actually picked Boston to win in 6. If it went 7, I wouldn't have been surprised. And if Miami kind of, pulled it out, I wouldn't be surprised because the teams actually are evenly matched. If you really look at it on paper, defense, I think both teams have, a deep roster. The thing that separates Boston, though, is that Boston has 2 stars. They have Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, where as far as Jimmy Butler is the only star, true star, on the Miami Heat. Now, they have great role players. They have great complementary pieces. I mean, Kyle Lowry, Bam, Tyler Hero, Oladipo, all of those guys. But right now, Hero's injured, And a lot of those guys, man, like, PJ Tucker, they're just not stars. And when you're talking about the conference finals, when you're talking about the finals, those are the moments where you need at least 2 stars to continue to go far. Now, don't get me wrong. To get out the first round, all you need is 1 star. You should be able to get out the first round with 1 star, depending on who you're playing. You could easily possibly get out the second round. You know what I mean? It's hard, but once you get past the first round, the more stars you have, the better chances you have on winning, right? So if I was Boston, I'm looking forward to closing this series out tomorrow night. I believe they play tomorrow. I don't think they're going to have a break, but I believe they play tomorrow night. The next game, which is game 6, Boston need to close it out because you don't want to go back to Miami because anything is possible. This is the first time one of the teams won 2 games in a row. So to go into Boston, you asking them to win 3 games, that's going to be tough in itself. So they got the momentum right now. They won 2 games. Just win the 3rd game and close them out because if you allow Miami to stick around, some people may say like Jimmy Butler's playing like he's injured. I don't know if he's injured or not. He was playing pretty well before he got injured. The last 2 games, we haven't seen the same Jimmy Butler, but he's out there playing. So we ain't going to make excuses. He's not out there making excuses, so we're not going to make any excuses for him, right? So Boston need to go in there and close this out. Tatum played okay yesterday. Jaylen Brown had a good game. Jason Tatum had a quiet 22 points. But it's been hard for him kind of put 2 back-to-back games together. So since he didn't have a monster game, it's a possibility he's going to explode in game 6 and just say, I'm done. And you got Jaylen Brown following along, Marcus Smart, you know how it goes. But we don't know. We'll see. It's definitely been an interesting series. It reminds me of like back in the days, watching the 90s, in the low-scoring games. It's probably way worse back in the 90s. But, the low-scoring games, I believe it was 92, 82 or something like that, or whatever the score was. But, neither team cracked 100 points. You know, Miami just got to do a better job, man, of just like getting at it and going out with some heart. You know, Miami's always been a franchise that since Pat Riley took over, you know, they played with a lot of heart. We know what it's like down there when the Wade and Shaq years and the LeBron year, the Heedle year. So, you know, they still got what's your man name? Udonis Haslem on the team. He don't play, but he's like the enforcement of the team and let them know like we ain't gonna quit. I don't really like what I saw last night with them. I feel like they should have had a little bit more fight, a little bit more dog in them. But you know what? You know, it's a series that's really the defense between both teams has really been controlling the tempo of the series. You can't really say the offense have been controlling the tempo. It's been more like a defensive series. Whoever played the best, whoever role players play the best, it seems like wins the game. You know, so we'll look at that going forward. Now, time to get on the topic right now. So I've been hearing the Brooklyn Nets management, then this whole it seems like is a thing going on where Kyrie possibly won't get the max that, you know, he deserves. Say what you want to say about Kyrie Irving. He deserved the max. He deserved the max. And the reason why he deserved the max is because when it's time for him to show up and play, pretty much he performs. Now, outside of game one and round one, he really didn't have a great series overall, but, you know, that was just a bad series for the Nets, Brooklyn Nets, just all together. That was just a bad series for them. But you have other people out there, right? And they be saying things like, oh, Kyrie, he's not dependable. I mean, as far as when it's on him. We ain't talking about injuries. Now, if they want to keep it at injuries, we know that Kyrie's one of those players that throughout his career has had an injury-prone career. Some players are just like that, right? And it's been kind of like a part of why Kyrie probably is not looked at in a higher light, you know, because injuries and even sometimes just being as the man, right? He really hasn't, what's the word? He really never led the team as the guy. You know what I mean? He never really had a great season. His team never really had a great season with him as the main focus, as the guy. So if you want to knock him for basketball things and say certain things, okay, we get that. But he's not the only one who's had an injury-prone career or, you know, maybe couldn't lead as a guy but still was getting a max money. But what I don't like the narrative is that they're putting out there is that they try to make it seem like that because Kyrie chose to not be vaccinated, that you can't trust Kyrie, right? And here's the part that they don't tell you is that, and they really kept trying to brush under the rug until Adam Silver came out and spoke on it. It's like the entire time, one of the beefs that Kyrie and people was having is that Kyrie wasn't allowed to play in Brooklyn, but you had other players that were not vaccinated allowed to play in Brooklyn. So when we talk about what's right and wrong and standards, there was never a standard. It was never about being fair. There was always some type of favoritism, whether it was like kind of within the how the laws were written or how, you know, contracts were drawn up. But that's favoritism in itself, just to say that a player on the road can play at a Nets game, but a Nets player can't. And we got a caller. Let's see what this caller is calling from.
Hey, it's Jay, Long Island. What's going on?
Take the next left on
Hello?
Bridge Drive.
Let's see.
Yeah, can you hear me?
But in the meantime, while we get the caller ready and stuff, Mel from Queens. Who's calling? Where you calling from and your name?
This is Jay.
Yo, Jay, what's going on, man? Where you calling from?
All right, we got, Long Island.
Okay, all right, cool. What's good?
yo, we got to stop beating around the bush, man. This whole Kyrie not getting no max thing, man. Let's not beat around the bush, man. That's off of Stephen A. Smith. We ain't gonna. He had a whole Kyrie campaign of bashing him because he didn't get vaccinated. When it comes to basketball, when it comes to basketball, everybody know Kyrie worth that money.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter his injury because KD hasn't been available. Injuries is a part of professional sports. We all know that injuries is part of professional sports. But when he was there and when he first came back and he was dropping 30 a game, averaging 29 points, nobody was complaining. So now they trying to talk about some availability. What issues has he had as far as availability, as far other than injuries? Which is, if that's the case, nobody should get paid a max salary. Nobody in the NBA gonna get paid a max salary except what, LeBron?
No,
maybe Clay just been out for what, almost 3 years.
Mm-hmm.
His contract is another thing, 2 years he got on his deal.
Yeah.
But outside of that, to me the series turned when Kyrie went off in Game 1 and KD struggled, and then from that point on, KD tried to hijack the offense, and you could tell, man, KD being his feelings when the media be talking, man. He feel like he got to do everything, and the team itself was out of sorts as soon as KD hijacked the offense.
Okay.
And he did the same thing in the finals when he was with Kyrie. Kyrie did all the heavy lifting, and then as soon as he got to the finals, KD hijacked the offense so he can get MVP.
Now,
KD be in his feelings.
Now, okay. I feel like, me personally, because I want to get on to what you said about the Kyrie thing. I think personally, I can't say really like KD hijacked the offense because the Game 1, he didn't play well, even though Kyrie played exceptionally well, right? So he knew that Game 2 and going forward, he had to bring that energy. He had to bring it. I don't think it was more so about Kyrie, but it seemed like that more so he was leaving Kyrie hanging because Kyrie did his part and he didn't do his part. So I don't know if that part, because I feel like this year was one of the best years in the way that Kevin Durant dealt with the media. I feel like when you look at some of the questions he was asked, how he answered, certain things he talked about, I feel like he was like keeping it 100. But I got a question for you because I agree with you on the whole thing, Kyrie not getting paid because of Stephen A. Because if even you looked, I was watching, I think there's one of the games this weekend, and they mentioned Kyrie, right? Possibly, not getting paid or whatever. If you would have saw Stephen A. Smith, right, face, like he was sitting there waiting, like happy so he could jump in and jump all over Kyrie and talk about Kyrie and paint this narrative. But like you said, outside of being injury prone, Kyrie is always available. He's always there to play. Kyrie gives it 100% on the court. Kyrie is going to be 100. He's going to go down shooting. Kyrie's always been about that life. And I'm not saying like I'm one of those die-hard Kyrie Irving fans, because I'm not one of those die-hard Kyrie Irving fans, but I respect what he brings to the game. And the issue that I do have with Stephen A. Smith, with Skip Bayless, with a lot of these other people, even Shannon Sharp, and I rock with Shannon Sharp, is that they lie. They lying to you. Like, you mad at Kyrie because during the pandemic that he chose to sit out, and then he tried to galvanize, players to sit out. Now, the way that was handled, I don't really like the way it was handled. But it's all speculation at this point because nobody really came out and said anything. Pretty much in a bubble, the players agreed to play, and that's why the bubble got started. And then after everything, they agreed to play. Then all of a sudden, Kyrie didn't want everybody to play. But that's his right. So you can't knock Kyrie for not wanting to play in the bubble, doing so much was going on at that time. So the only time that he ever missed a game again, for really what they would call is non-injury purposes, was. He missed a game to hang out, with his family. He missed one game or whatever it was, a couple games, whatever. He took a break. I mean, look, that was one time in his career that he did that. So you can't tell me he don't deserve the max because he did that. You bugging. Stephen A is bugging. You know how many times when I used to be a diehard First Take watcher, that how many times I turned to First Take and Stephen A wasn't on his job? Your man Jay from Long Island. You still there? Or he
Yeah,
must have jumped off?
let's keep it 100 though.
Mm.
Let's
Yeah.
keep it 100.
Okay.
They're trying to back Kyrie because he didn't get the vax, right?
Right.
But if we keep it 100, Kyrie had to go through this, and the baseball players didn't have to go through it. You know why they didn't have to go through it? Because it's always about race. It's
Right.
always about we got to bash somebody.
Right.
Because Wiggins wasn't bashed, right?
Bradley
they gave
Beal.
him an All-Star. Andrew Wiggins.
Mhm.
Andrew Wiggins wasn't bashed,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like you said, Bradley Beal wasn't bashed. He finally got the thing, but he wasn't bashed from day one.
Right.
And Bradley Beal last year led the league in scoring, right? So you can't say you're going to bash Kyrie all day. And then the rules was dumb. The rule made no sense that they changed it for baseball. Come on, if we're going to keep everything 100, right, Mel from Queens?
Yeah.
They wasn't doing that. Aaron Judge wasn't vaccinated.
Right.
He ain't going to get the same scrutiny. We see what happened with Aaron Rodgers, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the wordplay,
Right.
He wasn't vaccinated. He didn't get the same scrutiny.
Wait, let me ask you a quick question.
He still got his money.
Look, think about Aaron Rodgers, what he did, right? He lied, he twist things, the wordplay. Did Aaron Rodgers get his money?
He got his money.
Did you see Stephen A. Yelling all day, every single day, like, don't pay Aaron Rodgers his money?
Nah.
You heard Skip Bayless, any of those players
that missed games.
Anybody
So
that go ahead.
Think about this, right? They saying is Kyrie wrong for missing a game, right? Think about this though.
Wait. Let me say this real quick because I want to sit this killer's narratives, right? Kyrie missed outside of the game last year when you saw him partying with his family and stuff like that. When it's time to play, Kyrie's laced up. So we need to stop acting like Kyrie just be missing games for no reason. During the bubble, that was one of the most trying times, if not in America, in which at least our generation could say we experienced. But if you just talk about the history of America and what the pandemic was, not only were we dealing with a pandemic, no matter how people see it, but we also were dealing with the George Floyd situation. So when we talk about mental health aspect of sports and athletes, right? If Kyrie chose to step away, how are you going to come back and say, yeah, Kyrie missed out in the bubble, and you're trying to tag that with him not being, vaccinated? A lot of players didn't play in the bubble. So you can't try to, it's what they try to do, is they try to lump on things that's irrelevant and try to make it relevant because we know Stephen A. made it clear. He said, look, I'm doing whatever I do to make my bosses money and I want a piece of it. So it seems like even if the agenda, and we don't know what the agenda is, but a lot of these networks, it seems like the agenda is to go at certain athletes, especially African-American athletes, black athletes, however you want to say it. That's normally an agenda. And it seems like Stephen A's agenda fit right in with their agenda. So his bashing to me was even true. Anybody that bashed Kyrie about, the bubble, not showing up from the bubble, they wrong for that because a lot of players didn't play. And for mental health or whatever reasons, everybody deserved the right to sit out if they chose to sit out for the bubble, right? That's number one. But then number two, you can't blame Kyrie for a decision that the state of New York made that was not Kyrie's decision. They said, look, this is your only choice, to be vaccinated or to not play home games in the state of New York. Kyrie chose. Now, the NBA could have paid the fines, right? And Kyrie could have played, but they chose not to. So they need to stop trying to put it on Kyrie. What do you have to say about that aspect of it?
I agree with you 1,000,000%. And to add on to it, right, as far as the Kyrie playing thing, right, is when the Bucks didn't play a playoff game. The Bucks didn't play a playoff game because what was going on in the country. Just take that in for a second, right?
They said that last part. I lost you for a moment.
The Bucks. They said we're not going to play this playoff game because of what's going on. I think it was Breonna Taylor or was it George Floyd? I think it might have been George Floyd at that time, right?
That was before you talk about during the bubble.
Yeah.
Okay.
When they didn't. Was that before the bubble? That was during the bubble.
That
right?
was during the bubble, yeah, because they had the George Floyd thing, the protests. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they said we're not playing basketball, they didn't even tell. I think it was the Orlando Magic. What team was it? The Orlando Magic. I think it was. They was playing that they wasn't going to play. Right.
Okay.
Nobody said, "Oh, you're not available. You're not this. You're taking days off." None of that. Everybody decided, even though some people still wanted to play, they decided, you know what, we're not going to play. So y'all can pick and choose when y'all want to play.
Right.
Off of what's serious to you, but he can't pick and choose when he can play what's serious to him. And the reason why he's not playing is because he's not vaccinated. But the people who's not vaccinated coming on the road could play.
And,
that makes no sense.
Right. And now think about this.
And you're saying is, if you talk about health issues, right? If you're saying it's all about health, right? Then nobody who's not vaccinated should be able to play in the Garden or the Barclay, right?
I agree.
Nobody should be able to play.
Well, not just the Garden or the Barclay. Just say in the state of New York, because you brought up a good point, which was when you talked about baseball. Why are Aaron Judge, right, and all the players, let's say on the Mets, you still got my hat. I already know. Queens all day. Y'all know what it is. We run this, what's up with the Yankees, I ain't no hater. They all right. They do their thing. I ain't no Yankee hater, but, Mets all day. But think about this. All the Mets and Yankee players, right, that aren't vaccinated, why aren't nobody calling them out saying you're jeopardizing the team, you're selfish, and all of this stuff, right? Because whether you're allowed to play or not, they still not vaccinated. So why aren't these players getting the same heat that Kyrie's getting? But we got to understand it, like you were saying, and I'm going to let you go in a minute. I'm going to let you close up your last point. What people don't realize is that the media has an agenda, and they want to attack certain athletes. So, Jay, I want you, state your last point before we take a quick break.
Basically, everything said has been said. Mm-hmm. We already know why certain people get treated differently, right? At the end of the day, you keep doing your thing. We're going to keep bringing light to it. But at the end of the day, they ain't want to pay Kyrie. They got an agenda off of Kyrie and basketball players and black athletes. Like I said, we could go on about Kaepernick and Deshaun Watson and all the proof that we have when people bashing those athletes. But for the most part, Kyrie thing, it was this Kyrie not getting paid was Stephen A. Smith's thing that he started.
Uh-huh. All right, you're on speaker. But yo, Jay, I thank you for calling in, man. I appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks. All right, yo, I want to speak to Zoe. Yo, I agree with you, man. You said Aaron Rodgers got his money and Stephen A. didn't say anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, they're not going to keep – Aaron Rodgers is Stephen A.'s guy. So, remember when Jay Will put the pressure on him, like, yo, you need to bash Aaron Rodgers like you do Kyrie Irving. And then he began to bash him for a little bit, but then it went away. Why are we not talking about, Aaron Rodgers still to this day? But yet, the Brooklyn Nets, Tim, what's good, man? My dude. Yo, appreciate you, man, for the support. But yeah, ain't really no narrative. We talking facts out here, man. I know you're a Nets fan, Tim, but I'm actually on you guys' side. Like, if I'm Kevin Durant, I'm hiding. I don't care. If y'all don't work it out, because Kyrie is my man. We came here together, right? We ain't going to let the system play us right now. So Kevin Durant has been kind of like MIA since the season ended, and management haven't heard from him, allegedly. So we're going to see how this whole thing play out when it comes to the Brooklyn Nets. But Kyrie deserved his money. We're going to take a break, at the half hour. But give us a call, 347-410-8077, 347-410-8077. Yo, you think Kyrie Irving deserved his money? Do you think he deserved to get paid? Or are you in agreement with the narrative in which people spread about, he can't be trusted? Because I don't see how Kyrie can't be trusted when everything he did was within the NBA rules. He didn't break any rules. Now, if you want to be mad about him partying during the times when they had the game that one time, all right, cool. That was one time. So we're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Let me know. Mel from Queens.
Make sure to download the WGJS Radio app from the Apple Store or from the Google Play Store.
All right, how you guys doing?
Wait, how'd you get your video like that? Is that 4K or something?
Right, you got us over here looking like a hot mess.
No, it's actually a powerful live streaming app for Mac called Ecamm Live. You know what? Let me show it to you real quick. So you're able to use your mirrorless camera as a virtual webcam, and you can tweak the colors right in Ecamm Live using their camera effects, and then bring this video right into Zoom, Google Meet, and pretty much any other virtual meeting app. You can even stream directly to Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn and bring in comments right onto the video. And you can customize the look, size, and position of the comments right in the app. Or you can even add your logo to the corner of your video, or yourself, or both. There are plenty of picture-in-picture styles to choose from if you're sharing your screen for a tutorial or doing a presentation. And it doesn't have to be live. You can use it to record a course and eliminate the need to have to edit it later, all in 4K quality. And if you got a green screen, you can set it up right in Ecamm Live, and you can bring that into your different meetings. If you're feeling fancy, you can move yourself into the corner of your frame to do a commentary or a reaction video. You can even add in video clips just by dragging and dropping it in. Pretty much everything's drag and drop. Y'all follow me? Okay, good. So if you want to step it up a notch, you can add some overlays to your video, whether it's a simple graphic or you want to have some titles or other info at the bottom of your screen. You can even add animated overlays like this one or this one. And with Ecamm Live's interview mode, you have full control over the look and feel of your broadcast. And you can add branded overlays to frame you and your guests and look like a real legit broadcast. And you can save each layout as a scene and switch between them with the press of a button. And you know, these days between virtual meetings, school, live streams, we on video all the time. So you just want to show up in a way where you can be confident and proud of. And for me, Ecamm Live is at the center of it all. Did y'all get all that? You were on mute.
Y'all already know what it is, man. Mel from Queens Sports Talk. You're listening to WGJSradio.com. That's WGJSradio.com. Go to the website. Check it out. I see Zoe got a comment real quick. I'm going to get to your comment, Zoe. But yeah, give us a call, 347-410-8077, 347-410-8077. I want to hear your thoughts. I want to hear your feedback on this topic. I just saw Zoe with a comment. He said that, Kyrie is a workhorse. You know, he should get his money. I agree. He should get his money. Kyrie is definitely a workhorse. You know what I mean? Think about this. And here's the problem. This is what I feel like the problem is. And I don't know, right? But this is what I feel like the problem is. I feel like Stephen A. hate on Kyrie Irving because Kyrie Irving chose the Brooklyn Nets over the New York Knicks, and he took Kevin Durant with him. If Kyrie Irving was on the New York Knicks, trust me when I tell you this, Stephen A. Smith energy would be completely different. But if you notice, a lot of times when he go on his rants, he always throwing in like, he chose the Nets and Kevin Durant went with him and all this stuff they be talking. Listen, man, a lot of people were still upset behind that because we know that everybody has been waiting probably since 73, I believe it was, from when the Knicks won the championship. And it's like, could you imagine, even though it's looking like it ain't going to happen, but could you imagine if Kyrie and Kevin Durant won for Brooklyn before the New York Knicks won again? I mean, I still don't feel like, personally, that would leapfrog them over the Knicks. But there's a conversation to be had about the city. You know what I mean? It's a Knicks town. That would have made it a lot more difficult for the city of New York to be like a Knicks town. Because even with Brooklyn, New York City, man, NBA-wise, is still a Knicks town. That's what they fans are. Even when you go to the Barclays, I don't care if the Knicks, if the Nets are better than the Knicks. You're going to hear more Knicks fans in the crowd cheering than you're going to hear Nets fans. So, you know what I mean? I feel like personally, some people may disagree. When it comes to professional basketball, New York City is still a Knicks town. One thing I respect about Kevin Durant, if it's true, if you haven't reached out to the management, Kevin Durant knows what it is. So if he's not showing up, if he's not speaking with management, it's because he know they ain't take care of Kyrie. He know there's going to be questions about Kyrie. So maybe he just falling off the map right now, laying low to see how that whole entire situation is going to play out. But I'm here to tell you, do not believe the lies about Kyrie and he doesn't show up for work. Kyrie always shows up for work. He always shows up for work. But it's not fair that he gets picked on for things outside of basketball, for things outside of his control. And when I say it's outside of his control, because people are like, oh, he just get vaccinated, he would have been fine. No, he doesn't have to be vaccinated because, you know, there was an option where you didn't have to get vaccinated. And this was, you know, the repercussions if you didn't get vaccinated. But there are a bunch of baseball players now in the state of New York, city of New York, that will be playing baseball that they didn't take the heat that Kyrie took, but they're gonna get their money, they're gonna play games, and it's all gonna be well. Now I haven't heard not one peep from anybody yet. I haven't heard like a peep of, yo, how many Yankees and Mets players are still unvaccinated? You heard anybody speaking about that yet? Any follow-up? No follow-up. Why is not no follow-up? Because that's not the agenda. That's not what they want to talk about. Now, if the sport was mainly African-American playing, you'll get that topic more. You'll get that situation. You'll get people out there putting themselves on the line to create a buzz. Because whether you like it or not, by these people talking negative and they fit certain agendas, they getting paid. They get paid money. They do their thing. And I'm not saying everybody has an agenda, but just listen to what they're saying and how they're saying it, and you'll kind of catch on quick. So, like I said, man, give me a call. Mel from Queens Sports Talk, 347-410-8077, 347-410-8077. What's your take on that? In the meantime, real quick, I'm going to switch to the topic, right? It's funny how, like, people hate LeBron so much that they be looking for everybody to jump LeBron, right? So I saw something where, yo, he said all Yankees are vaccinated and the Mets need rabies shot. Yo, Tim, yo, you crazy for that, yo. Yo, is that 100% that the Yankees are vaccinated? Because at one time, all the Yankees weren't vaccinated. Do you know when all the Yankees were vaccinated? You got that, like, the date where you could say, like, yo, on this date right here is the date that all the Yankees were vaccinated. Because a lot of time passed by where they wasn't even talked about. They wasn't even talked about. So, yo, let me know about that one, man. But I'm probably going to talk about this a little bit more on Saturday, but I'm just going to throw it out there. It's funny, somebody mentioned Steph Curry, if he get, like, championship number 4, then he's right there with LeBron and all this stuff, man. I'm like, man, like, Stephen Curry, man, is a great player. He's been great for the game. But LeBron's path and Steph Curry's paths were completely different. It's not even, like, the same of what they had to go through, the teams that they had to battle through. You know, because if you really look at it, Steph Curry, they won, and Clay and Draymond and Iggy, all respect. But they won their first championship. They went through a lot of teams that were injured. And when they got to the finals, Kyrie only played one game and Kevin Love didn't play any games. So in the finals, 2 of the Cavs' top 3 players were not there. You're supposed to win that. It's just LeBron by himself with Tristan Thompson, Dellavedova, and a couple other people. So I respect Steph Curry and what he's brought to the table, but I don't think even if he won a 4th championship that we can put him up there like with LeBron. LeBron is like Mount Rushmore. I don't think he jumps to Mount Rushmore. I do believe that Steph Curry does jump to top 10 of calling. I do feel that. I do feel that, man. Like he jumps to top 10 if he wasn't already in the top 10. But I feel like this year, Steph Curry, I believe he's in the top 10 of all-time players. I personally believe it. A lot of times, people get stuck in their era, right? A lot of the old school dudes, whether it's music, whether it's sports, you know, when you see something so great, it's hard for you to let go and appreciate something else. A lot of times you want to hold on to it till we can't hold on to it anymore, right? But at the end of the day, it's like you got to respect when something is good, you know what I mean? And something great is better. That's not from your era. That's just what it is. So, I have no problem with putting Steph Curry in the top 10, but I don't think that if he win his 4th championship, that he's already on Mount Rushmore, because LeBron has already done so much, not just scoring. You're talking about rebounding. You're talking about assists. You know, you're talking about just his leadership. You're talking about him carrying teams, whether they won the finals or not, deep in the playoffs for years without anybody. I'm talking about before he even joined the Big Three in Miami. He was doing his thing, carrying teams. Now, he wasn't winning the championship, but he was carrying teams. And the reason why he needed a Big Three is because Boston had assembled a Big Three, and they were problems. They were a problem. You still had, in the West, you had a Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden. You had a Spurs with Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, Manu Ginobili, Kawhi Leonard. You know, so it was teams out there where you know eventually you had to go through. And those were actually the teams that he had to go through. The Bostons, you know, the San Antonios, you know, the Oklahoma Cities. Those were the teams that he had to grip up and go to war against. So you can't go, it's like you go into a war and somebody got 3 weapons and you got 1 weapon. Now, you might have a nice weapon that might be able to be better than the 3 weapons, but still 3 weapons is better than 1 weapon because you can get different angles. You can have somebody in front of you, behind you, on the side of you. Where as far as if you just a person with the 1 weapon, you just stationary. One angle, that's it, right? Without moving. So, you know, you expect a team with 3 stars, superstars, to be the team with 1. So LeBron, nobody was coming to Cleveland at that time. So when LeBron left and he got his chip, then he went back to Cleveland. Then people wanted to come. But first, nobody wanted to come to Cleveland. So LeBron did what he had to do to go. So I don't really knock him. He was a free agent. If you got an issue with that, you know, that's on you. But my point is that I don't put Steph Curry on Mount Rushmore if he get 4 championships. I still feel like he need more work to get Mount Rushmore, but he's definitely top 10. And I definitely believe that, you know, getting back on the main topic today, Kyrie Irving deserves his money. And he should not be paid. Hold up. When I heard it was right before the Toronto trip for Canada rules. What do you mean about that, Tim? We got people just chiming in. When I heard it was right before the Toronto trip. What rules are you talking about? You talking about when Canada changed their rules and they wasn't allowing vaccinated players to play at all? Is that what you're talking about? But I'm just talking about the perspective of things. People are trying to say that Kyrie is not dependable because of, you know, the vaccine, you know, situation. They try to blame it on that, but they try to like lump his whole career, says Kyrie has never been a dependable person. And they're speaking outside of injuries, and that's the issue, and that's the problem that I have. And that's the problem that anybody should have when the media is like, you know, trying to dog you and treat you unfairly. Like, how is that cool? But a lot of times when you have conversations with people, you know who's actually watching, listening, who understand the game, who understand politics, who understand narratives, and they're just seeing what's going on and how they're trying to spin everything. A lot of people do, but there's so many people that just watch. You got to understand, like, a lot of these shows, and it's not a knock, because I watch these shows. I feel like when you are part of an industry, you have to know what your people around you are doing. You want to call them colleagues or people around you work with, however you want to do it, right? You need to know what's going on. You need to know what's being said, right? So if you listen to the narrative about Kyrie, you would think Kyrie is some awful individual that doesn't show up to the game, that's always unprepared, who doesn't have a heart for basketball, or that something is more important, right? But when you watch Kyrie play, everybody knows that Kyrie gives it 110%, if not more. And we know Kyrie's always ready to play. We know Kyrie is like one of the many times people put out there, one of the most skilled basketball players to ever play the game. I would like to say more so skilled scorers, ball handlers to ever play the game, because Kyrie really don't play defense and like that, But when you want to talk about scoring wise, he's definitely one of the most skilled guards to play the game. He shows up when he's not injured. When Kyrie is healthy, he gives 110%. Exactly. And nobody can question that. So the question is that, we don't want to pay Kyrie because we mad because he took a stand for the vaccine. That's just what it is, people. Let's just keep it at that. And let's leave it at that. But the man put in work. When he was there, he was putting in work. When he was playing this year for Brooklyn, he put in work. Did he have bad games? Yes, everybody has bad games. Was it enough? No, it wasn't enough. Was how Brooklyn lost this year? Was it embarrassing? Yes. Did the Brooklyn Nets underachieve? Most definitely. Should they have been swept by the Celtics? No. Did chemistry make a difference? Possibly, because you need chemistry in sports. Chemistry is very important, right? So, but we see whether it was because of a vaccination or somebody's injured. Think about Klay Thompson. He was injured for, majority of the year fighting to come back. Not injured, but he was fighting to come back. He just wasn't ready to be with the team, right? So he missed a bunch of games. But Golden State still had a solid record at the time. They were still doing their thing. They were still balling, So, but that was a team that the main core guys were together for a long time for the most part, and they just had other pieces around it. So that can make a difference. But even when Kevin Durant and you had James Harden, the Nets were number one until Kevin Durant got injured. But they never got a chance to build chemistry. Excuse me. I can agree with that. But that doesn't take away from what Kyrie did. Kyrie deserves his money. I think the Brooklyn Nets management need to take that and make it happen, because if they don't sign Kyrie to an extension and Kyrie walks away, I guess my thing would be, will Kyrie now be blackballed and won't be able to get back into the league? Will they treat him like they did Chris Jackson, who changed his name to Abdul Rauf Mahmoud, whatever? My bad. But Chris Jackson was his original name. I think he changed it to Abdul Rauf or whatever. Craig Hodges went through some blackballing. If Kyrie Irving doesn't get the max from the Brooklyn Nets, right, and say he signed a 1-year extension, do you think when he become on the free agent market, it's going to be hard for him to find a job? I don't think so. Because New York is one of those states where was one of the strictest in regards to mandates, right? A lot of states weren't on it. So outside of the mandate, I'm pretty sure anybody would take Kyrie Irving's talent, right? I don't think that's a question at all. And if we really look outside of the games he missed for the mandate, we know that you could depend on Kyrie to be there unless he's injured. Now, that's the only issue I have with Kyrie. It's the same issue I have with Anthony Davis. For those guys to be so good, we would never see how great they could truly be because it seems like injuries has really crippled their careers somewhat, their greatness. So I feel like they're not going to be able to maximize their potential. I don't understand how you got Dame Lillard as a top 75 player and you don't have Kyrie Irving as a top before him, a champion. You know, they say one of the most skilled players, you know. So you can see like with sports, it's always, you know, a bunch of politics going on. It's always some type of narrative. And that's what Mel from Queen Sports Talk, you know, we're going to come against a lot of those narratives. But you got to understand a lot of this stuff is entertainment, but the entertainment stops becoming entertainment when you're trying to focus on not making sure players not get paid. Like, what if we had like a whole, we put like a whole, protest, or we get social media to say, yo, Stephen A shouldn't get a raise his next thing because every time I turn to First Take, somebody's sitting in Stephen A. Smith's chair. So you want to talk about Kyrie not being available for games and not doing his job, and you're not always at your job. You're not always at your job. You're not always on First Take. You might say, oh, I'm doing something else. Well, you could do something else and do another, because I look at it as First Take is your job. You're supposed to be on First Take at 11 o'clock. If you're not there, you're doing another, that's a part-time job. Because your full-time job is First Take. So, Stephen A., don't miss any days from your job, and then you can talk about Kyrie missing days. Stephen A., keep it real about Aaron Rodgers, all the Mets and Yankees that wasn't vaccinated, and then people will feel you more when you talk about Kyrie. But everybody see the hate that you have, and it's personal. And a lot of times when you have the most ratings, you get people that imitate what's being said for ratings. So you see people starting to take on some of the same narrative. Now, some could believe the same thing, which is people have a right to their opinions and they have a right to disagree. But when you start bashing plays and you take it personally and you begin to single guys out, that's where your power and your platform is being used in the wrong way. And you're doing your community a disservice. You're doing your community a disservice because you're not keeping it 100. But like I said, when a guy like Stephen A. get on TV, and it's not a diss because everybody have a right to move however they want to move. When a guy like Stephen A. get on TV and say like, hey, I'm about making my company money and getting a piece of it, you need to understand that whatever agenda they have, he's going to push because that's their bottom line. So you got to treat these analysts, even myself, like I don't mind people disagree with me. You can call and you can disagree. We go at it. I don't care if you disagree with me. This sports. It's all about opinion. There's really no true, definite right or wrong answers, right? And on a lot of topics. But one thing you can't debate facts. You can't debate what players do. You can't debate that the stats they produce, right? So if you want to talk about it, you can't debate Kyrie scoring when he's there, when he's available to play. You can't debate Kyrie's career that for the most part he shows up to game, he's available unless he's injured. That's not something you can, that's not a debate. No matter what somebody else says. That's not a debate when it comes to Kyrie Irving. So pay the man his money. I mean, what else you got? What you going to just, you going to be a long ranger with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn? Before you know, he's going to be asking for a trade. What, Kevin Durant and Ben Simmons, that's it? Ben Simmons, we don't even know if he's available to play yet. I mean, he's looking like a lemon right now. Like I'm hearing, he was out because of back issues now. So we thought it was just like a mental thing. Not we, but we as fans, NBA fans, we thought it was a mental thing. We thought after a few weeks, maybe a month, he'll be ready to play with the Brooklyn Nets. Next thing you know, he's still not ready to play, and he has a back issues. So if they don't sign Kyrie, right, And say Kyrie chooses not to re-up on this year, which I don't think he's going to pass up the money, but you never know. You know, we never know what who his agent will be speaking to behind closed door that might say, no, we got you, Kyrie. But what is the Brooklyn Nets future looking like if they don't re-sign Kyrie? It's looking like Kevin Durant, a long ranger by himself in Brooklyn. And it's back to square one. So you're looking like the Knicks with Patrick Ewing, the Knicks with Melo, or the Knicks with like certain players and stuff like that. That's what we're looking at right now. So if you disagree with me, I have no problem with you disagreeing with, but call it, tell me why you disagree. 347-410-8077. I'll give you 2 minutes real quick because we're going to wrap this up in about 5 minutes. But I give a caller right now about a minute, about 2 minutes to make your point if you agree or if you disagree. 347-410-8077. I believe it's time that we forget about the narratives and you pay Kyrie Irving his money. You sign him to a long term. What do they always say? He's box office. He's one of the most skilled players. So if it's to fill the seats, then be cool with that. Because you know when Kyrie's healthy, he's going to show up and he's going to perform. Right? There's no mandates in New York right now. There's no mandates in most states when it comes to like the NBA, so you're allowed to play right now without any issues. Pay the man his money, man. Or if not, talk about all those other teams and franchises and other players and stuff like that. And, you mad about Kyrie missing the game or taking a day off here, just make sure those who complain about Kyrie taking days off, you aren't taking days off. Make sure every time you turn the first take, you see Stephen A. Smith's face. I know it was a bunch of years I saw, Hollins and Shaq and Ryan Clark and Kendrick Perkins and so many people. So Stephen A. don't even be at his job every day. You don't even be at your job every single day. You miss days. So why can't Kyrie miss days? And like I said, I'm not even I respect the game. I understand sports. I like basketball, so I'm a fan of Kyrie, but I'm not a fan of Kyrie, if that makes sense. Y'all know who the players I rock with. If you don't know, you'll know. I'll let you know. But y'all, thank y'all for listening, man. We'll wrap this up in a couple minutes. But tonight, look forward to Golden State closing this out. They're a veteran team. They know what it's like being in moments like this. I personally do not foresee Golden State blowing Game 5. Now, people might say, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. Because if you go to Game 5, right, and you lose if you're Golden State, and say somebody get injured in the game, now you're playing Game 6 with possibly a star player down. Or you go into Game 6 and somebody get injured in the game. Now you win Game 6 and the star go down. And say you lose, now you go into Game 7 without a star. So close it out tonight. I foresee Golden State closing them out tonight. I picked, once the conference finals started, I picked Boston and Golden State. I'm going to stick with that. And I'm going to stick with Boston winning the chip this year. But I wouldn't be surprised if Golden State won the chip. But I'm gonna go with with Boston. They seem a little hungry. They got two superstars. They got defense. They got nice chemistry over there going on. So I got Boston versus Golden State, or you say Golden State versus Boston in the finals. And that's what it is, man. That's Mel from Queens, Sports Talk. You listening to WGJSradio.com. Yo, appreciate y'all. Saturday live at 2 o'clock. We going live. Let's do it.
elevating and linger. Jermaine Griffin says, well, if Kobe can't do it, maybe it's my turn to take over. I'm the second leading scorer on this team.